It is arguably the single most repeated, totally unquestioned mantra in the entire dog-owning world. I mean, if you own a dog, or even if you've just Googled how to train one, you absolutely know the phrase.
Oh, yeah. A tired dog is a good dog.
Exactly. A tired dog is a good dog. And, it sounds completely
How
logical.
dumb.
It treats canine behavior like this simple math equation, right? Like, put in enough miles, burn enough calories, and boom, you get a perfectly behaved, peaceful pet.
Right, but what if following that advice is actually destroying your dog's ability to ever calm down?
Yeah, that is the exact question we're tackling today. Welcome to our deep dive into some truly eye-opening source material from the Vital Pet Dog Health Academy. We are decoding the hidden needs of high-drive working breeds.
Specifically, we're focusing a lot on the Belgian Malinois today.
We are. And the mission today is to show you why trying to just physically exhaust these intensely driven dogs isn't just like slightly incomplete advice, it's an active trap.
It really is. It produces the absolute opposite of a happy, settled companion. Because we are so deeply conditioned to view physical depletion as the ultimate goal.
Right, like we see a dog laying on the floor panting and we think, mission accomplished.
Exactly. But when you apply that brute force exhaustion tactic to a working breed, you fundamentally misunderstand what they were engineered to do. You're setting up this cycle of perpetual anxiety for the animal.
I do want to push back on that right out of the gate, though, because the way we usually conceptualize a dog's energy is like a battery icon on a smartphone.
Oh, sure. The battery drain approach.
Yeah, like they wake up at 100%, and our job as owners is just to drain it down to 0% so they finally go to sleep. So why is that battery drain approach so dangerous for a breed like the Malinois?
Where the fatal flaw in that logic is assuming a working breed operates on a single battery. It's much more accurate to view them as having a complex hybrid energy system.
A hybrid system. Okay.
Yeah. If you look at the historical development of the Belgian Malinois, they were not bred to just run in a straight line just for the sake of burning calories.
Right. They weren't bred to be treadmills.
No, not at all. They were engineered to work for extended, grueling shifts using their physical body and their cognitive brain simultaneously.
Like herding.
Yes, complex tasks, herding unpredictable livestock or doing high-stakes detection and, police patrol work.
Okay, let's unpack this, because if their genetic software is built to process 1 million pieces of environmental data...
Reading the movement of a sheep, analyzing wind currents for a specific scent.
Right. Doing all of that while also running, then treating them like a marathon runner completely ignores half their biology.
It completely ignores the mental half.
So if you are only giving them a purely physical outlet week after week, like just biking with them or throwing a ball for an hour, you just aren't draining the whole system. The source material actually states you end up just building an incredible engine.
That is exactly what happens. The dog becomes this elite, spectacular cardiovascular athlete, but their mind remains entirely untouched.
And I'm guessing an untouched working mind is not a calm mind.
Oh, absolutely not. An untouched working mind becomes an incredibly restless, highly reactive mind.
It's like training for an ultramarathon by running on a treadmill in a completely silent room while staring at a blank white wall.
That's a perfect analogy, yes.
Like your muscles and your heart get incredibly fit, but your brain goes absolutely stir crazy from the lack of input.
Yeah, you lose your mind.
Yeah.
And to actually tire this kind of dog, you need to hand them the equivalent of a complex crossword puzzle, not just lace up their running shoes.
Right.
And the sources are really emphatic about this distinction. Physical exercise just burns cellular energy. But mental stimulation, requiring the dog to problem solve, to maintain focus.
To actually make active choices.
Exactly. That forces neurological effort. And the friction of that neurological effort is genuinely deeply tiring.
There was that one specific comparison in the research, right? The one about the 20 minutes.
Yeah, the research highlights this perfectly. A 20-minute training session that involved learning new commands or navigating scent challenges or structured problem solving, that will leave a Malinois significantly calmer.
More genuinely tired.
Yeah, more genuinely tired than a full hour of aimless sprinting.
Wait, really? 20 minutes of thinking drains them more effectively than 60 solid minutes of sprinting.
It does, because you are engaging that cognitive battery we talked about.
Wow.
When a dog is using its olfactory system to track a hidden scent, for example, it is processing massive amounts of data. It's ruling out false positives, maintaining intense concentration.
It's working its brain.
Right. That metabolic demand on the brain creates a satisfying fatigue that mindless running simply cannot replicate.
Which naturally leads us to a massive logistical question for anyone listening. If mindless running is like that torturous blank wall treadmill, how exactly do you incorporate that mental crossword puzzle into their physical routine?
Because they do still have a physical body that needs movement.
Exactly, they still need to move. And this is where the sources draw a very sharp line between uncontrolled exercise and structured activity.
To understand the difference there, we really have to look at what uncontrolled exercise actually does to the dog's internal state.
Give me an example of uncontrolled exercise.
Take a classic game of backyard fetch.
Okay, pretty standard dog stuff.
Right, you stand there, you throw a tennis ball, the dog sprints full speed, brings it back, and you immediately throw it again.
No rules, just running.
No rules, no pauses. What you are doing is skyrocketing the dog's arousal level.
By arousal level, you mean?
Their physiological state of readiness. Their heart rate spikes, cortisol and adrenaline just flood their nervous system, and their pupils dilate.
So they are fully keyed up.
Yes, you are putting them into a state of acute fight-or-flight readiness and keeping them there.
So they are essentially sprinting in a heightened state of adrenaline for 30 straight minutes with absolutely nothing telling their brain to process or regulate that chemical dump.
Exactly. Now put that up against structured activity.
Okay, how does that look different?
Well, structured activity utilizes the exact same physical space and the exact same ball, but it introduces strict rules of engagement.
Like what kind of rules?
You have clear starts and stops, you build in brief pauses, you require the dog to hold a sit or a down position before you throw the ball.
Oh, so they can't just bolt after it immediately.
Right, they have to wait for a specific verbal release cue from you before they're allowed to break that position and chase it.
What's fascinating here is... Wait, I'm actually stealing your line.
Go for it.
But what blows my mind is that the physical output looks identical to the neighbor watching over the fence.
Yeah, to anyone watching, the dog is still sprinting.
But the structured version is secretly teaching the dog impulse control.
What's fascinating here is that forcing the brain to manage that excitement is immensely taxing. Think about the friction happening inside the dog.
That internal battle.
Yes. Every single fiber of their genetic prey drive is screaming at them to chase that moving object immediately.
Right.
So when you ask them to hold a sit, they have to actively suppress their deepest biological instinct. Suppressing instinct requires massive amounts of cognitive energy.
Because they want it so bad.
Exactly. That friction between wanting to launch and forcing themselves to stay, that drains the mental battery far faster than the cardiovascular effort of the sprint itself.
Okay, let me play devil's advocate for a second, though, because as an owner, isn't the whole point of a game like Fetch to just let the dog cut loose?
To blow off some steam?
Yeah, to let them be a dog, have some fun. Why are we ruining their recess time with all these strict rules and obedience drills?
Because we project human ideas of leisure onto an animal that was fundamentally built for labor.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, a working breed doesn't find joy in mindless chaos the way a human might enjoy, like a wild night out. They find profound satisfaction in having a clear job.
In understanding the parameters of a task.
Yes, and in successfully executing it. When you strip away the rules, you aren't giving them liberating freedom. You are just flooding their nervous system with an adrenaline cocktail they have absolutely no idea how to process.
And that inability to regulate their own excitement, that isn't just an annoyance where they pace around your living room later.
No, it's not just annoying.
When a high-drive dog lacks an off switch, it becomes a severe physical hazard, particularly for young dogs.
Oh, absolutely. And that brings us to one of the most alarming sections of the research, specifically regarding puppies.
Yes, the open growth plates.
Right. When we talk about a growing Malinois, we are talking about an animal with open growth plates.
And for anyone unfamiliar, that means the ends of their bones are still made of soft, developing cartilage, right?
Exactly. They haven't fused into solid bone yet, making their skeletal structure incredibly vulnerable.
Yet, when an owner gets a Malinois puppy and sees this tiny creature just vibrating with limitless energy, their immediate instinct is...
to run it out of them.
Right, to try and exhaust them physically.
But repetitive, high-impact activity, like long runs on pavement, or repetitive jumping for frisbees, or forcing them to keep up with a bicycle.
All terrible ideas.
Awful. It places permanent warping stress on a skeletal foundation that simply cannot handle the load. You can cause irreversible joint damage by trying to exhaust a 6-month-old pup.
Wow. And the sources outline a really insidious behavioral trap here, too, because if you over-exercise a young, high-drive puppy, their cardiovascular system matures much faster than their neurological development.
Yes, the stamina outpaces the brain,
So you are building up this elite physical stamina way before their brain has the maturity to regulate the adrenaline that accompanies that exercise.
which means you are literally manufacturing a dog that is harder to settle.
You are creating an Olympic endurance athlete who possesses the emotional regulation of a toddler.
It's a total recipe for disaster.
So what should they do instead?
The veterinary consensus highlighted in the sources emphasizes short, frequent, low-impact sessions.
Heavy mental engagement.
Yeah. The focus for a puppy should heavily skew toward teaching them how to learn, how to sniff, how to interact with the world calmly, rather than just raw physical output.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Letting a high-drive puppy run endlessly to tire them out is exactly like handing the keys to a high-performance V8 sports car to a teenager.
Oh, man.
Only the car doesn't have any brakes installed yet. Like, the engine is fully developed and ready to absolutely roar, but the internal control systems haven't even been built.
And the scary part is that the lack of internal brakes extends far beyond puppyhood.
Really? Even in adult dogs?
Yes. For a working breed, their drive will consistently override their basic survival instincts. This becomes a massive, sometimes fatal liability when dealing with extreme weather.
Because stopping to rest isn't coded into their instinct.
Exactly. If a Malinois is highly motivated by a toy or a scent, they will continue to work in dangerously high heat.
Whereas a normal dog would just quit.
Right. A typical pet dog gets too hot, its self-preservation kicks in, and it walks away to lie down in the shade.
It just says, nope, I'm done.
Yeah. But a working Malinois does not have that internal stop button. They will chase that ball or search that building, completely ignoring their spiking core temperature until they literally collapse from heat stroke.
That is terrifying.
It is. As the owner, you cannot rely on the dog to communicate when they are done. You have to provide the executive function for them.
You have to be their prefrontal cortex.
Yes. You have to look at the thermometer, manage the hydration, and actively force the brakes.
Okay, so if this breed is essentially a sports car with no brakes, and their drive will literally push them to work themselves into the ground, what happens when the session is actually over?
How do they transition back?
Yeah, how do they go back to normal life?
This brings us to a huge, profoundly necessary concept in the source material: enforced recovery.
Enforced recovery is arguably the single most neglected component of a working dog's routine.
Why is that? Because a Malinois will push through immense fatigue and discomfort, so they will not organically self-regulate their rest. The responsibility for initiating downtime falls entirely on the human at the other end of the leash.
And if the owner doesn't step in, like if they just wait around for the dog to yawn, stretch, and decide it's time for a nap,
The dog stays trapped in a chronically elevated state of arousal.
so they just never power down.
Never. Their sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight side, stays engaged. They remain on high alert, pacing, reacting to every tiny noise outside the window.
Always ready for the next command.
Exactly. And over time, that chronic tension causes severe physical strain, elevated stress hormones, and completely erodes their behavioral stability.
Wow. So true rest isn't just the dog standing quietly in the kitchen while you chop vegetables.
No, it has to be genuine neurological calm.
The sources mention that this genuine calm is often facilitated by structured downtime, right? Like proper crate training.
Yes, giving them a designated quiet space.
But because these dogs mask their fatigue so incredibly well, owners kind of have to play detective.
You really do.
Like, they are never going to look at you and say, hey, I'm beat, let's call it a day.
Never.
So you have to watch for microsignals. You're looking for a slightly slower response to a basic cue or a tiny, almost imperceptible shift in their gait.
Or even just a 10% reduction in their enthusiasm for a tug toy they usually obsess over.
Yeah.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, what we are really talking about is that for a working breed, relaxation is a learned skill.
It's a skill, not an instinct.
Exactly. It is not an automatic biological switch that magically flips the second you unclip the leash.
Yeah.
You have to actively teach their nervous system how to transition from the sympathetic fight or flight state to the parasympathetic rest and digest state.
Okay, I have to challenge this, though, because I know exactly how a lot of dog owners think.
Okay, let's hear it.
If you see your dog standing at the back door, right, they got the ball in their mouth, their tail is wagging, and they are literally vibrating with eagerness to keep playing, Isn't it kind of cruel to take the ball away and force them into a crate?
It feels mean, right?
It feels like you're punishing an animal just for wanting to play.
It is entirely natural to project that human emotion onto the situation,
Mm.
but you have to completely reframe what you are looking at.
How so?
That dog vibrating at the door with the ball isn't necessarily showing you joy. They're showing you compulsion.
Compulsion. Wow.
Yeah. They are locked in a behavioral loop driven by genetics that they cannot break on their own. Taking the ball away and enforcing a rest period in a quiet, dark crate isn't a punishment.
It's relief.
It is a profound relief for their overwhelmed nervous system.
Mm.
You are stepping in as the leader and saying, you did your job beautifully. The shift is over. You are officially relieved of duty and allowed to power down.
That is a massive paradigm shift.
It changes everything.
You aren't restricting their fun, you are relieving them of their duty. And, that intense willingness to push through discomfort doesn't just mask their daily fatigue. The Vital Pet sources highlight that this drive also masks the physical realities of aging.
Oh, aging is a huge factor.
Yeah, and it often blinds owners to the actual practical lifestyle the dog is living.
Aging is a particularly difficult emotional hurdle for working dog owners. A Malinois in its prime, those first 5 to 6 years of full maturity, they thrive on that high-intensity structured work.
Right.
But as they move into mid-adulthood and eventually their senior years, their physiological needs shift, even if their drive doesn't.
And because they hide joint pain and arthritis so well just to keep working, owners have to be hypervigilant.
Looking for morning stiffness or longer recovery times after a hike.
Right, and when working dogs reach their senior years, owners typically make one of two very drastic mistakes.
What's the first one?
The first is overcorrecting into total inactivity. Like the owner worries about the dog's aging hips, so they completely stop exercising them.
Oh, which is terrible for them.
Yeah, this inevitably leads to rapid weight gain and severe muscle atrophy, which ironically leaves the joints completely unsupported and makes the arthritis much worse.
And then the second mistake is the total opposite of that.
Continuing the exact same high-impact wall-jumping routine out of sheer habit.
Just because the 9-year-old dog still seems enthusiastic about it?
Exactly.
But as we've established, enthusiasm in a Malinois is not an indicator of physical readiness.
Right.
They still need daily movement for joint health and mental engagement, but it must transition to lower-impact activities, guided by veterinary advice.
Like scent work.
Scent work is brilliant for senior dogs because it exhausts the mind without pounding the joints.
The sources also bring up a really fascinating dynamic regarding companion dogs.
Yeah.
We talk a lot about police and military applications, but plenty of Malinois are living as regular pets in suburban houses.
A lot of them, yeah.
And those companion dogs face a unique hidden risk of weight gain.
It stems entirely from the breed's cultural reputation.
Else?
People adopt a Malinois and assume that because it's a working breed, it's this tireless, naturally lean athlete that burns 1 million calories a day just existing.
Right, just pacing around the house.
So they feed them high-performance working dog kibble based on that reputation, even if the dog is only getting a moderate daily walk around the neighborhood.
And because the breed has such a deep-chested, muscular build, it easily hides early weight gain.
You don't even see it.
The owner doesn't notice the extra pounds padding the ribs.
Oh.
So what does this all mean? Honestly, it's like eating Michael Phelps's 10,000-calorie Olympic diet just because you bought his brand of swim trunks.
That's a great way to put it.
Even though your only actual workout is a 30-minute water aerobics class on the weekends, you cannot feed the breed's reputation. You have to feed the dog's reality.
That is the crucial takeaway. You cannot manage a living creature based on a myth or some YouTube compilation of police dogs doing parkour.
Right. You have to look at the reality.
You have to look objectively at the animal standing in your kitchen. Assess the actual caloric output of the life they are leading and adjust both their diet and their activity accordingly.
We have covered an incredible amount of ground today. To synthesize the core revelation from the Vital Pet Dog Health Academy sources, it's this.
Let's hear it.
The goal of canine exercise, especially for a high-drive breed, should never be brute force physical exhaustion.
Never.
A dog that is simply collapsed on the floor from muscular depletion often still cannot truly relax its mind, leaving it in a state of anxious limbo.
Right.
The true goal is a dog that is structurally conditioned for its age, deeply mentally satisfied by engaging its instincts and genuinely capable of settling down.
And that framework extends far beyond the Belgian Malinois.
Absolutely.
Whether you own a high-drive working breed, a mixed-breed rescue, or you just have a casual interest in behavioral science, understanding the fundamental difference between cognitive satisfaction and sheer physical exhaustion permanently changes how you view daily activity for any animal.
It totally shifts the perspective.
It is never about how much you can wear them out. It is entirely about how well you meet their structural and psychological needs. This raises an important question, though.
Okay.
If we are completely rethinking this paradigm for the dogs in our lives, what happens when we turn this exact same lens on the human holding the leash?
I love that you brought that up because I want to leave you, the listener, with this thought to mull over today.
Yeah, think about this.
If a dog's anxiety, their reactivity, and their absolute inability to settle down stem from building an incredible physical engine without ever engaging their mind or enforcing true downtime,
Hmm.
how often do we apply that exact same flawed logic to our own lives?
That's heavy.
Are you just constantly running on the treadmill of daily tasks, trying to physically and emotionally exhaust yourself so you can finally crash at night, while completely starving your brain of meaningful, focused engagement and genuine and enforced recovery?
It's so true.
Maybe, just like the Malinois, your ultimate goal shouldn't be daily exhaustion either. Maybe you just need a more engaging puzzle to solve and the grace to give yourself permission to finally clock out.